Hi, my name's Don from Keep and Bear LLC, and today we are talking about grip. The grip on your firearm is really, really important. It's going to help your marksmanship. Most importantly, it's going to help follow-up shots should you be in a self-defense or protective situation where one shot might not solve the issue. So we want to talk about grip, and we want to be able to get a proper grip on the firearm each and every time. So today I'll be using a Glock 19 with an RMR. I'm going to show clear. It is clear. And I am in our classroom area. No one else is around, so I won't be sweeping anyone. So let's talk about what we want to talk about with the grip. In the case of this firearm going off, let's just say it's in free space floating there. The trigger actuates somehow and the firearm goes off with no other constraints on it. What's going to happen is the firearm is going to move this way, equal and opposite reaction, that sort of thing. We don't need that. We can't even achieve that. We end up with a grip on the pistol. When we get this grip on the pistol, to make the firearm cycle properly, we want the slide to move relative to the frame. We want this to be able to go back like this. That allows the spent casing to eject. Slide moves all the way back, feeds a new round in. This is the way the firearm is intended to work. If we don't have a strong grip, what will end up happening is the frame and the slide will move with each other, not relative to each other, and you'll end up with a failure to extract. You end up, the most common form of that is called a stovepipe, where the spent casing partially extracts, the slide moves forward and traps the spent casing in the ejection port as the slide moves forward. It's an easy malfunction to clear, but it is one of the most operator-inflicted malfunctions that we see. So a strong grip allows for the slide to move relative to the frame so that the firearm cycles properly. So let's talk about how we do that. When you grip like this, we start with the webbing of our hand high in this area called the tang. We want to be way up in this area. Some firearms have a shallow tang, and it's a little bit, it can make a little bit of anxiety getting the soft webbing of your skin way up in there, and when this comes back, it can bite. Knowing how high up you can get on the tang with that particular style firearm is important for your grip. But most modern firearms have a long enough tang area, long enough circumference around here to be able to get in here, and if you have a proper grip, that's not going to happen. So with that, if this firearm were to go off just like this, it would end up rotating around this fulcrum point. The webbing of our hand in this tang creates a fulcrum that, as this slide pushing back, causes this to go up like this. We don't want that to happen because we want to stay on our target, whatever that is. We want this going straight back only, ideally perfectly straight back, and this whole bottom piece as stable as if it were locked in a vise. That's ideal. That's what we want. So a couple things we do when this rides back like this, we can see the bottom of the grip, this area in here, moving this way. And that's actually where we want to put most of our counter force making this rotation. We want to stop this rotation. So in martial studies, there is a concept called pinky strong when you grip a sword or anything like that. Take that same philosophy, start with your pinky and grip up. That gives your pinky the most purchase on this, and you'll feel a massive difference in your grip, the way you hold the gun, when you start pinky strong. With a lot of force being pushed this way, we're able to counter that rotation as this goes this way. See how this wants to go up? When I cycle this way, I am stopping it from doing so the slide has to move instead. Okay? So, that being said, This tang wants to move down. It wants to rotate around. There's not a lot we can do about that, but being high up in the tang area here, we're actually filling that space and putting an upward force just by virtue of our hand filling this area, the webbing of our hand. So it can't rotate that way. This is much more marginal than this area in here. Now, if you got a subcompact pistol or something like that and you can't get your pinky on it, that's okay. Start with your pinky, work the rest of the way up. Your ring finger is going to do the brunt of the work in this case. Now, another advantage to going pinky strong like this is our muscle groups, our pinky and our ring finger are on a muscle group. Our middle finger and our trigger finger, pointing finger, are on a different muscle group. The middle finger is kind of tied to both. When you move one, they kind of all move the same way. But by going pinky strong on this and working our way up, what we're doing is we're allowing that pinky and that ring finger to do the brunt of the work. That allows us to actually relax our middle finger ever so slightly more, which allows for better trigger control when it comes time to actually shoot this pistol. Okay? So pinky strong, the pinky provides a great force going this way, which counters the rotational force that would make the grip want to go this way from the rotation of the grip. Pinky strong. Now with the offhand, we end up with a area in here that has nothing on it. We want to cant our hand slightly, put that in there, and with our offhand, we want to grip just as tight. And we want to start pinky strong on that as well for all the same reasons. So now what we're doing is we've got this grip pressed between our hands, nice and tight. We're actually pushing inward and outward a little bit as we shoot. We're pinky strong on both fingers, both hands, and that's providing us the most force from keeping this thing from rotating up. Again, that also allows our trigger finger to be slightly more relaxed, which gives us better trigger control as we go. So all that being said, these are the fundamentals of grip and why it works that way and why you should be getting a good strong pinky finger on there and everything else. And hope this helps. A lot of times we see students with stovepipes, we see a lot of gap in here. These are the biggest issues that we see, and we'd like to fix that if we can. So another thing we're going to talk about is picking the pistol up. It's as simple as that. If this thing is on our nightstand, there's nothing constraining us from picking this up any way, any which way. There's no physical constraints there. We want to get in the habit of coming down and getting this thing up so that we're high on the tang just from the pickup of the pistol, just in how we pick it up. So when we reach down and we get a pistol, or if we're in bed, and this is our nightstand, we're laying across and getting a pistol. When we shoot, we want this pistol on the same axis as our forearm. As we reach down to get the pistol, it's not. We have to rotate it and we have to bring it up onto the axis of our forearm. And that does take a little bit of time. There's no sense picking it up with this grip and then having to get your other hand involved to creep up on that grip and get a proper grip. Come in, practice it like a zillion times, practice getting on there so that the rotation of the pistol onto your forearm's axis fills that gap. That's what we're going for. So from this angle, if I come in low, and this, I've got this extra space in here, not as good. I've got to get my other hand involved and ride up on that grip, or I'm spending time creeping my hand up and getting on that grip. You can, but it takes time. Whereas if you come in, reach high enough as it goes, and reach up and get right on that grip as quickly as you can. So another thing I want to talk about is holster. Carrying from the holster and getting a proper grip in holster. This is actually easy, and your students, once you start training in holster when that's available to them, are going to find that they get a grip much more easy. If I grip low, it's actually harder for me to pull this out because I've got slop in here. And what I'm doing is that same rotation that we talked about with the gun going off, I'm inflicting rotation, which is pushing the slide into the holster, increasing the friction, making it very hard to pull out. It's just not on the right axis. When I come down and get a strong grip on that holster and bring it up and out, that's when I can get the firearm out the easiest. Now the advantage and what students are going to see is when they come down and get a grip like this, they just got to hit somewhere in the grip and then ride it up. So it's actually very easy to get a grip on a pistol in the holster. Now ideally we want to get right on there, and that takes a lot of practice, but even if we're a little bit low, it's going to ride up. If we're a little bit high, it's going to be weird. You got to come back down. So it's better to err on the side of being a little bit low and riding it up, but it's best to be able to come right down on it and get it. And we come down, we get it, we push in. When we push down on that holster, what we're doing is we're allowing more space for our fingers to get around that grip to get the strongest grip we possibly can. So when we come up, we've got that super strong grip that we wanted. We got our pinky strong and everything else right from the get-go. So again, I'm Don from Keepin' Bear. Let me know if you got any questions in the comment section, or send us an email. Our website's linked. Any comments are welcome on this. Thank you.